What's up, you guys? This is Oswaldo from Rockentry. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about the difference between indoor rock climbing and outdoors rock climbing. So what is the difference between indoors and outdoors? And at the end of the video, we're going to answer the question of which is better. Is it better to be climbing indoors or is it better to be climbing outdoors? So let's get started. Let's start with route reading. Route reading is so much easier to read indoors than outdoors, and this is why. Indoors, the route is usually color coded, so you know what the route is. You're gonna easily tell what sort of handhold these are, if it's a sloper hold, a pinch hold, undercling. If they're very obvious. Your feet, you're gonna know because of the foot chips that they put on the wall. Usually you don't use foot chips as handholds, so it makes it really obvious to know that you're gonna place your feet there. Now outdoors, reading a route outdoors, all you have when you're looking at the boulder at a climb is chalk marks. So based on the chalk marks, you still can't really tell what sort of handholds they are or footholds that you're gonna be using. First of all, there's no foot chips, so there's no like markings on where you're gonna place your feet. So there's footwork everywhere, pretty much. So it makes it really difficult to read the route. You don't know where you're gonna place your feet. You don't know how you're gonna hold these holds. So yeah, it's an obvious differentiation from these two, from reading indoor routes to outdoor routes. Now let's talk about pain. Pain in indoor climbing, you don't really worry so much about pain. When you're climbing, it doesn't really hurt unless you're doing an awkward position like a Gaston move or something, but you're not feeling pain based on the holds that you're grabbing unless you're doing hard crimps. But I think you understand what I'm talking about, unless you haven't been climbing outdoors. But when you're climbing outdoors, when you're holding any hold, there's pain. Even a jug is painful because of the texture of the rock and the sharpness of the rock and the type of rock that it is, because there's different variations of rocks. There's granite, there's sandstone, there's limestone. There's so many variations, and they're all different textures. Some are sharp, some are like pretty much sandpaper. They hurt. They really hurt. What's great is this: when you're climbing outdoors, your pain threshold increases because you're doing it more often. And it's actually a mental thing that happens when you're first climbing outdoors and you're touching the holds. You feel like these are very sharp, these are very painful, but then you get used to it and you just know it's gonna hurt, so you bypass it. You get psyched, you get on the climb, you're getting closer to sending it, so the adrenaline rush kicks in and pain starts to fade away, and all you are focused on is to sending your route. So that's what's great about outdoors, because it really helps you with your pain threshold increase. Let's talk about skin. Skin, you're not worried about so much indoors, and that's because if you're doing something wrong, you'll probably get a flapper, but you don't have to worry about your skin. You're getting a split, or you're running out of skin, anything like that. Yeah, now outdoors, your skin gets teared up completely, like really bad, and you have to worry about your maintenance on your skin and what you're gonna climb too, because you only have so much skin, so therefore you start thinking about which climbs you want to do, and there's so much involved just because of skin. It's so crazy. But yeah, you start taking care of your skin more. You start noticing how much skin is important. Environment, oh my goodness. Environment, it makes a huge difference for your climbing. Indoors, you have environment control, which you don't have to worry about chaos. You don't have to worry about heat being too hot. You probably have some fans or an AC. You have some nice music going on. You have, it's just the environment is so much different indoors, obviously. Outdoors, yeah, you don't have control over the weather. So if it's hot, it's hot. If it's cold, it's cold. And your temps really matter when you're climbing. So especially if you're climbing slopers, but it really matters temperature, the environment where you're at. And then you have a time limit as well, because you start keeping track of the sun, you start keeping track of the clouds, and yeah, it gets pretty crazy. Now let's talk about falling, the difference from indoors and outdoors. Falling indoors can be scary at first. It's so much safer, especially when you have a gym that's well padded. If there's padding all over the gym, you're not really worried about falling. Unless you're doing like a dynamic move, then you're probably scared of falling. But even that, you'll probably still try it, and you'll get like a full attempt on that dynamic move, and you're very comfortable. You don't have to worry about objects or anything like that. Now, outdoors, you really have to plan things out outdoors when you're climbing. So you have to, before you even get on the route, you plan out your falls. Like, where exactly are you gonna fall? If you see like going back to a dynamic move, if you're gonna be doing a dynamic move this way, you start setting up pads here, and then you start setting up your spotters. You ask for spotters, like, hey man, mind spotting me here because I'm gonna swing this way, blah blah blah. Another thing is make sure you know the down climb, where the down climb is, because sometimes when you're going up it's great, but then when you have to do the down climb can be really scary. So yeah, you can fall either climbing up or climbing down. Now let's talk about grading. Oh my goodness, I get so many comments on, oh my god, that is not a true V7 or a true V5, whatever it is. Now, gyms grading are different within itself, and all gyms and outdoors. So many different variations of grades, and it's just all over the place. And yes, gym grades are softer. And the reason why I feel is because, it's a business. So they want to have people to show up to their gym, come back. The easier it is to progress, the more they would want to come back to climb some more. If they were as graded as outdoors, it would have been a lot more difficult for people to progress and feel good about themselves and so on. That's why I think it is what it is, and we just have to work with it. But usually once you get to a certain grade, it starts to get really realistic with the outdoors. So that's what's great. Now, let's talk about grading outdoors. Grading outdoors, obviously, is so much more difficult. And it is difficult not just because of the grading of the route itself, how difficult it is, but because of what we just talked about, which is you have to think about pain, you have to think about your skin, tearing up, you have to think about environment that you don't have control over, the sun, winds. You have all of these aspects that you have to think about. So it makes the climb so much harder for sure outdoors. The falling, like, where are you gonna fall? Going back to that. Now let's talk about which is better to climb. Is it better to climb indoors or outdoors? Now I wanted to share with you guys the difference between indoors and outdoors, just so you get an idea of what the difference, in case you haven't experienced both. Because obviously there's some people that just climb outdoors, and there's others that just climb indoors, and there's others like myself that do both. In my opinion, I love both. There's no one greater than the other. There's differences from both of them. What I like about the gym is I can actually climb a lot more, get more volume on my climbing, and I can actually train for my projects, and it's more convenient. Now, outdoors, I just love the challenge, to be honest. I love the challenge both physically and mentally that I put myself into. And when I accomplish a route, no matter what grade it is, it feels amazing because I love the challenge. It's simple. And I love spending time outdoors. I love the fresh air, and it's just completely different for sure than indoors. I love both. They're different, but whatever makes you happy. For me, both of them makes me happy. I love doing both. I do as much as I can from one over the other. There's no preference. And some people say that it's all about outdoors real climbing and blah blah. Don't believe that. Do whatever you enjoy and are passionate about, for sure. whatever makes you happy. Let me know in the comments below, which do you prefer? Do you prefer to climb indoors or outdoors? And let me know why. If you like this video, please do hit that like button. It lets me know you're enjoying the content. I love you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.